Okay, so there's this really incredible study out of the Polytechnic University of Valencia that's put a hard number on AI's impact in Spain. And get this, it's not some far-off prediction. Nope, it's a snapshot of what's happening right now. So today, we're going to dive into what this AI revolution actually means for jobs, for the growing gap between men and women, and for the very map of Spain's economy. So here it is, the big number, 22%. Let that sink in for a second. That means nearly 1 in 5 jobs in Spain is already structurally exposed to AI. And, this isn't something that just happened yesterday. The data shows this has been the reality since at least 2021. So the wave isn't coming, it's already here, it's hit the shore. So what does that 22% actually mean? Well, it means we've got to dig deeper. We need to figure out who's being affected the most, how this is creating what some are calling a two-speed Spain, and really importantly, what people are doing about it. But before we get into all that, there's one key idea we absolutely have to understand. Okay, so that concept is structural exposure. Sounds a bit academic, right? But the idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it like this. This isn't some temporary storm that you can just hunker down and wait out. No, it's more like the sea level itself is rising, permanently changing the coastline of the job market. We're talking about the core, fundamental tasks of a job, especially anything to do with managing information, that can now be done, or at least seriously boosted by AI. It's a fundamental shift.
Now, it's super important to get this right. The study is really clear that this is about transformation, not just outright destruction. Most jobs aren't just going to vanish. Instead, they're going to change a lot. The whole game is now about adapting our skills so we can work with these new AI tools. But here's the thing, this massive wave of change, it doesn't hit everyone the same way. So that begs the question, who's really on the front line? And when you start slicing the data by gender, a picture starts to form. And honestly, it's a pretty concerning one. It turns out this algorithmic revolution is hitting one group much harder than the other, women. The numbers don't lie. What the researchers found is that jobs held by women have a consistently higher exposure to AI. We're looking at a gap of somewhere between 1.3 and 3 percentage points. Now, I know what you're thinking. That doesn't sound like a huge difference, right? But when you scale that up across the whole country, it means hundreds of thousands more women are in jobs that are technologically vulnerable. And if this keeps up, that gap could get a whole lot wider over the next 10 years. So the big question is, why? Why this gap? And it's fascinating because it's not really about the tech itself. It's about how our workforce has been structured for decades. You see, historically, women have been the majority in administrative and support jobs. Roles that are all about managing information, scheduling, communicating. And what does generative AI do best? Exactly that. On the flip side, men are more likely to be in sectors like construction or logistics, jobs that involve physical work in places that are always changing. That's a frontier AI, well, it just hasn't conquered yet. But it gets even more complicated. The risk isn't just about jobs changing. Researchers are pointing to something they call double victimization. So not only are more women in exposed jobs, but the AI tools themselves can be biased. Think about it. If an AI is trained on data from our past, it can learn all our old stereotypes and then just amplify them in things like hiring or deciding who gets a promotion. It's a huge problem. And this uneven impact isn't just about gender, it's also about geography. So let's zoom out a bit from who is affected to where. Right, so this AI wave isn't just creating a gender gap, it's literally redrawing the economic map of Spain. It's creating this whole new divide, basically splitting the country between its big, busy cities and the more rural interior. When you look at the map, the pattern is just crystal clear. On one hand, you have the major hubs, like Madrid and Barcelona. They're packed with finance, consulting, all these information-based jobs. And guess what? Their exposure is super high, over 21.5%. The big danger for them? Their skills could become outdated fast. Then, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you've got places in the interior like Soria and Teruel with the lowest exposure. And this is where it gets really interesting because we hit this huge paradox. You'd think that lower exposure is a good thing, right? Like you're safe from the storm. But what the study suggests is that it's actually a sign of being disconnected. These places have lower risk because they don't have as many of those high-value digital jobs to begin with. So the danger for them isn't that their jobs will change overnight, it's that they'll get left behind, leading to this massive productivity gap in the long run. So everyone sees the problem. What's the solution? Okay,
So the good news is Spain isn't just sitting back and letting this happen. Not at all. There's a real response building from all sides. You've got universities, unions, the government, everyone's jumping in, trying to make sure this transition is managed, fair, and, most of all, proactive.
And this quote from Ana Garcia Alcalaya from the CCOO union just nails it. She says the transformation must be done with the workers. And that's the whole point right there. The demand is crystal clear. This can't be something that just happens to people. It has to happen with them. It's about having a conversation, not just having tech forced on you from the top down.
And a perfect example of this in action is this international project called AI Secret. Their goal is massive, to help build the workforce of the future. And how they're doing it is really cool. They're creating this network that mixes tech skills with the arts and humanities. Thinking STEAM, not just STEM. Because they get that in an AI world, it's the human stuff, creativity, critical thinking, empathy, that becomes incredibly valuable. And it's a huge team effort, with universities, the government, and private companies all working together to take this on. And they really are coming at this from all angles. The unions are pushing for companies to use this AI exposure data to check their own equality plans, to hold them accountable. The government has set up a whole new agency, ASEIA, just to make sure AI is developed ethically. And then there's this push for what's being called algorithm negotiation, basically giving workers a real say in how AI is used at their job. All of this, all these moves, they all lead to one giant question. Which future is Spain going to choose? So you put it all together, the incredible power of this tech, the social gaps that are opening up, and all these new responses, and it's clear that Spain is standing at a massive crossroads. There are two very different roads ahead, two possible futures, and the choices that are made right now will decide which path the country goes down.
So path number one is what they call the inertial scenario. Basically, do nothing and just let things keep going as they are. The result? Those gender and geographic gaps, they don't just widen, they become massive chasms. Sure, productivity might go up a little, but inequality would just explode, with all the money and opportunity getting locked up in a couple of big tech hubs. But then there's path number two, the just transition. This is the intentional path. It's about huge programs to retrain people, using AI to empower everyone, especially in those rural areas, and designing a future where the amazing gains from this tech are shared by all.
And really, that's what this all boils down to. The tech is here. It's not coming. It's here. It's powerful. And it's already shaking up the world of work. The biggest challenge we're facing now isn't about technology anymore. It's about us. It's social. It's political. The real question isn't if AI is going to change our world. The question is, what kind of society are we going to build with it?